Welcome to Gambling with an Edge with your hosts Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin. Bob Dancer is America's premier video poker writer and teacher. He's written 10 books, including Video Poker for the Intelligent Beginner and the best-selling $1 Million Video Poker. He helped develop the computer software Video Poker for Winners, and in 2004 he was inducted into the Video Poker Hall of Fame. Richard Munchkin has been a professional advantage player for over 30 years and is in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. His book, Gambling Wizards, Conversations with the World's Greatest Gamblers, is a testament to the many ways you can succeed at gambling. The goal of the show is that you'll be a more knowledgeable gambler tomorrow than you were yesterday. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good evening. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer. Hello, Richard Munchkin.
Hello, hello. Happy to be here. It's my last show. Kind of mixed emotions about that.
I only have mixed emotions in the fact that I'm looking forward to Michael Shackelford being our co-host starting next week, but I am very sorry to see you go. I hope you're a frequent guest when Michael and I have it.
Sounds good.
We've been announcing for a couple of weeks that Blackjack Hall of Fame member Johnny C will be our guest tonight. Johnny was the head of the MIT Blackjack team for 10 years. Well, things have changed. Johnny can't make it. But instead, we have his wife, Laurie. In many ways, this is an upgrade.
Yeah, this is a step up.
Yeah, Johnny is very knowledgeable, but sometimes he's a bit dry to listen to. Now, Laurie's also knowledgeable, but she sparkles when she talks, as you will find out. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this. All right, so Laurie is in here now. Her segment is going to be in a few minutes, but she may want to jump in when Richard and I are talking about other things before her segment. All right, now last week, Richard, we spoke about scouting and the differences in scouting between video poker and table games. Do you use the internet as part of your scouting procedure?
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's a big part of scouting. I frequent 5 or 6 different websites, blackjack websites, forums, and I get 2 or 3 different news clip services that are devoted to gambling stories in the media all around the world. And one of the things actually I was going to talk about last week, but we ran out of time, is one of the things that's been in the news is that there are casinos opening in both Cyprus and Fiji. And, you know, if I were still young and single and didn't have kids, I would very likely be going to one or both of those casinos when they open.
So you'd go to Fiji?
Well, that would be my first choice. I would definitely choose that over Cyprus. And now they're talking about opening a casino in Hawaii, possibly. So, hey, I'd have a stopover. I could hit them both. And I'd like to go to Singapore. I have a brother who lives in Singapore, and I haven't been to those casinos yet. So,
okay, now let's say it takes $2,000 for an inexpensive vacation to Fiji, and I just made that number up. Now, the casino may have something good, and there may have absolutely nothing.
That is true. You know, that is the risk you take. But they also could be a complete gold mine. And the guy who gets there first is going to be the one who gets the gold. And, you know, to really get an understanding of this, there is an interview on my website with a guy named BJ Traveler. And this is a guy who travels all over the world to these out-of-the-way places, and sometimes he finds nothing, and sometimes he finds these just incredible games with advantage off the top. And, you know, wins ridiculous amounts of money with he'll go to some casino in Colombia with a $30 maximum bet and win $20,000 or something, you know, because of the rules that they offer.
And he's not worried about the drug cartel or something taking exception to his $20,000 win? And little minor problems like that?
He seems pretty fearless for a guy who spent 76 days in a prison in Tibet, you know.
Really?
Yeah. They accused him of trying to smuggle money in or out of the country, which was a kind of a common scam in Nepal. It was Nepal, actually, I think. This is a common scam where you have to declare money when you enter the country, and they're supposed to give you a document that shows that you declared it. And so a lot of times they will conveniently forget to give you the document, even if you declare the money. And then when you try to take the money back out, suddenly they'll be confiscating it because you have this undeclared money. Now, when my brother went...
Now, if you give them voluntarily 75% of it, they'll forgive you and let you keep some of it?
I don't know what the bribe ratio is there. I know that my brother, when he went with kind of an experienced world traveler that, alas, is no longer with us, a guy named Marty Itzkowitz, who used to live in Korea. But Marty insisted not only that they give him the document, but he had a camera and insisted that he be photographed with the customs officials showing them that he was bringing in the money, just so they couldn't claim later that he hadn't declared it.
Does his insistence on doing this have anything to do with the fact, is that related to he's no longer with us? I mean,
No. He got liver cancer.
All right. So we're going to talk about that some more. But first, let's talk to Laurie. Laurie's the wife of Johnny C., who was the head of the MIT Blackjack team. For several years, Laurie was one of the team leaders on the team. She's an expert player in her own right and has a lot of interesting stories to tell with us. Laurie, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for having me here.
We've been telling people about the plane where it was mentioned in Ben Mesrick's book Busting Vegas, where Johnny apparently bought a plane or part of a plane to fly back and forth between MIT and Atlantic City to save money, and he didn't quite take all the lessons, and there was a crash. Now, how much of that was true? Were you on the plane? Whether you were or not, you definitely know the story.
Okay, so I didn't know the story. Like I typically make some small talks at the tables. I said we were Chinese, and being Chinese, you're bad driver and degenerate gamblers, right? So bad driver for car and bad driver for a plane. So Johnny bought a plane, the small kind. So he was flying from Boston to Atlantic City. That was before my time. I wasn't sure was I even in the country at the time yet. So this is what I know of. And it was a two-seater, he and Simeon. This is the guy who is in the second book. Was it called Busting Vegas?
Yeah.
He is the main character for that. So they flew to Atlantic City, and John was trying to keep on his runway, or I don't know how these flight things goes, and then he ran into a short wall, and so
that's a problem when you're in a plane.
Right.
He is a bad driver.
So he's so it's a bad driver for the plane too, and then it busted the tank, the gas tank, and so it turned into a fireball. And so he jumped out of the plane, and Simeon jumped out of the plane too. And he was this Russian Jew. He had these big beard. It was all on fire and stuff. And so
did somebody grab the money?
John, of course, grabbed his own money and jumped out. And then and
no fool you're married to.
And Simeon, he had his bag in the plane, and he jumped out, and he apparently broke his foot. And so then he asked John to go back to the plane and get his luggage, and which he did. And then eventually this thing turned into a big fireball, and the police and all the paramedics came, and John's uncle went to go pick him up, and then saw this fireball, and John was able to see him before the police arrived and hand over all this cash and chips to him, because if the police came, and that's good, he has a lot of explaining to do. Okay. And so
Doesn't everybody have $150,000 cash on them?
so it was always mistaken the professional gamblers with the big wads of cash as the drug dealers. So if that was confiscated, it takes a long time and a lot of money to get it back, which we have suffered such things quite many times. And so and that's how it went. And Simeon later on sued John for crashing the plane, and he's broken his foot and whatever. But I guess the
I didn't
insurance,
know that. He sued John?
Oh, he sued the insurance company or something, because the plane got insurance policy on it. John didn't really like that, but that's how it went. So ever since that, I don't think he has flown yet, and I don't really care for, especially John. Fall into the ocean, and supposedly that's the same kind of plane that my Johnny flies. So I discouraged it very much that he shouldn't fly again. So he hasn't flown again.
As a pilot, I mean, he still flies as a passenger on.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he hasn't flown yet, but lately he was going to go to some Indian reservation, and it was very hard to get to. If it's through commercial route, and he was thinking about getting back his license and start to fly again. I don't know. I'm not fond of that idea.
I suspect you've let him know that. Now, you're a woman who speaks Chinese like you were born there, because you were.
Yes.
Now, how do you use this to your advantage when you're playing blackjack?
Oh, well, I mean, being Chinese, and then you have a right to be degenerate, and so I often use this to my advantage. I remember I was playing at the MGM.
Mm-hmm.
I was betting $3,000 a hand,
Okay.
and then and the count was skyrocketing, right? And sometimes you remember these the variations, the small counts. And then when it goes too much, and it doesn't happen very often, and the particular hand is 7 against the dealer's 5. Okay?
So you're trying to remember, am I supposed to double down or not?
That's right. I know there's some kind of number with that, but I don't remember it by heart. It's not like, 6 against, 8 against the 6 or something. That, you can run into that quite often. So I made a little chart,
Okay.
and I made it look like a basic strategy chart.
With colors, blue and
yeah,
red?
Yeah. I made that, but it's full of numbers.
Okay.
Okay. So, because it's my cheat sheet. All right. I
Good.
really need to look at that cheat sheet because I don't know whether I should double or not. So then, when it comes to this hand, and I start to say, "Hold on, let me think." And then I start to look for my cheat sheet. And I pulled out this cheat sheet, and the pit boss walked over. I remember his name is Joe. He's this little guy. I don't know if he still works there. He looked at me. He goes, "Well, you want to know how to play 7 against a 5? I can tell you that." Okay. And I said, "Well, that's what you white people say." Right? So I said, "Well, I need to look at my books," and I pull out, that card. It looks like a basic strategy. Okay, I looked at it, and it was like exactly there. So, and then I took out my $3,000. I said, I want to double, and so, and then of course I get a.
He must say, "I want to see that piece of paper."
Exactly. Okay,
Uh-huh.
he didn't say that. Actually, I doubled. Of course, I got a 10, and then I got 17, and dealer busted. Okay, I want the hand, and he looked at me. He looked at me in disgust and shake his hand and left. Right, but another white guy sitting at the table rushed over to me and said, "Let me look at your books." Okay, how come your books tell you to double 7 against a 5? And I'm thinking, I can't let him see this. If he sees this, then I'm exposed. And I said, "No, this is my Chinese book. If a white guy looks at this, it loses magic. Okay, you can't look at this."
Oh, dear.
So I loved it, the fact that I'm Chinese. So I can, and of course I'm a woman. I can say whatever the stupid things, and men just say women and a Chinese woman. What do you want?
But being a woman betting a lot of money is a double-edged sword, right? In the beginning, they let you get away with a lot, but don't they tend to not forget you once they nail you? Don't they remember you?
Well, that's kind of a sad part. One time I was at the Bellagio VIP room and I ran into a white guy whom I saw at the tables. I realized he was counting. So I struck a conversation with him and I said, "Hey, I know what you're doing," and then he started to talk to me, and then he ended up knowing who Johnny C is. And I said, "Oh, I'm his wife." And then I said, "Well, I feel sorry that you're a card counter and you're white. Okay, white people are not supposed to be, fit in the stigmatism. Did I say that right? Stigma."
The stigma?
Stigma. Oh, sorry. English is my second language. You have to excuse me. Sometimes I get
You're doing fine.
Steroids and
keep
hemorrhoids confused. They're all some kind of roid.
Well, Preparation H is a steroid. All right, so let's go on.
So anyway, you have to excuse me. I said, yeah, I'm being Chinese and I can, blend into the carpet. And then he said, "I don't think so. I'm just another white guy." And, how many Chinese people are counting? And how many Chinese women are counting? There is some girl named Laurie. If you see a girl at the table bombing it away and she's doing the right moves, you just can check her picture with Laurie's picture, and then doesn't matter how much she made up, you find out it's the same girl. Okay, that's bad.
Now, I know you've used a lot of disguises,
Right.
and so since you're small and young, it's easy to look old and fat, which is much. Of course, if you were old and fat, it would be hard to look young and skinny.
Yeah.
It's in the right direction. So, like your kids, you have two young children. So when you're ready to go out into a casino and looking old and fat, and you don't look at all like mommy. I mean,
now wait a minute. Do you have a fat suit?
No, I didn't. I actually, tried blonde wigs. It obviously didn't work for me because I got arrested in my blonde wig.
Wait, now why did you get arrested?
Oh, because I was 86, and then I went back in, and then they had me arrested for trespassing.
Wow! And so did they actually take you downtown?
Yes, they did. It took me there and then held me there for 56 hours.
Why so long?
Because they pretty much wanted to hassle me because they said, "Oh, you must have a immigration problem." Huh? And I said, "Well, if you were to call my husband and he will come here and provide my U.S. passport." Okay, but they won't call him and insist that I need to be interviewed by ICE. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
ICE?
INS?
No. Well, there's also ICE.
It's the Homeland Security folks.
Oh.
And then I was in trouble during the weekend, and they don't get back to work until weekday. So I got to be held there.
That's what they did to James Grosjean, too.
Yeah. So they can help me. I actually end up having 7 jail meals in jail, in the holding cell. If it's jail, it's not as bad. You could have a bed, have a pillow and blanket and all. But in the holding cell, you just sit there in the bright, fluorescent light, all day and all night.
Now, did you have a lawsuit out of this? Were you able to sue them?
How can I sue them? Because
I'll take
I was
that as a no.
Well, I couldn't. I'm suing Caesars because they sent me invitation, and then I went back there, and then they had me, arrested, dragged downtown. So they can say the security department had me 86, but the marketing department sends me 2 invitations. I thought they missed me. I came back and they had me arrested. Uh-huh. So But
That sounds like a good case.
yeah. Well, still in the process. Who knows when that's gonna pan out? But this other one, that they didn't even send me the invitation, so I got stuck. Yeah. Anyhow, so I was.
How many times have you been arrested?
Twice.
That's all?
I was dragged into the back room by Venetian, but police was not involved.
Now, was that a lawsuit? That should be a lawsuit.
That should be a lawsuit, except at that time there was no Bob Nasessian, and Tommy Highland was in trouble that weekend, and I tried to call him. He didn't get anywhere, so I thought, if he didn't get anywhere, where I'm gonna get? So, find a lawyer. All he wanted to do was hit on me, and I didn't get a help out of this. I don't want to mention his name because he's also a professional gambler.
A lawyer, professional gambler?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Kind of narrows it down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
I didn't say anything, okay?
All right.
Okay, so we should talk about the movie 21.
Yeah.
Best movie ever, or just second best movie ever? I mean, no, seriously, how do the people who actually played for the MIT team feel about the movie 21?
Well, I'm very much in agreement with what John thinks of this movie. He's saying it's like he
says the book got it half wrong, and the movie got the other half wrong.
Well, it's the real life spy. What was it? CIA?
CIA.
A CIA agent is watching 007.
Yeah.
So I think it's entertaining for the mass, the people out there. They think it's interesting, and it's derived from a true story. Very much derived, but it's entertaining. But there's so many things in there. It's just not that way. Nobody got beat up like that. I was thinking, why wasn't I beat up like that? Then I just can sue them for personal injury. $1 million, beats me trying to hit the tables and grind it little by little. So that was definitely not true. And I thought the biggest thing I thought was how the main character started to bet randomly, and then he started to
He went on tilt.
Nobody, with the long history of the MIT team, we never had such a thing happen. People would just go bet randomly. So what's the point of learning how to play, and then you see the light and you go into the darkness? And then you got people to want to follow you into the darkness. That doesn't take an MIT genius. Any dumb person would refuse to do that. You're gonna bet at your own wish, and then my money is on the line. Who's stupid like that? But they made the MIT kids are stupid like that. I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
That was the
And then the professor who was doing John's part turned them all in. And sold them all out. Now that had to bother John a lot.
John hated that very much. Well, John,
everybody I talked to, the thing that seemed to bother them the most was that none of them made any money off the movie. They all wanted to know, how can we get some piece of this?
Well, yeah, I guess if you want to go against Hollywood, they have deep pockets, and so John was not pleased that he was the villain. Did I say that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Villain in the movie. And in every movie, it should have a villain and good guys, right? And, he is not a villain. He's a very good guy and very honest. But the way why he was made into a villain is that John is a robot. Okay, John is a robot. He does not care about human feelings. Okay, what does human feelings amount to? Any mathematical value? That is a unknown city for John. So he feels what should be done optimally. His strategy is almost always right. However, he forgot they are carried out by humans. He forgot the human part, and he couldn't put a number over it. And so he didn't care about people's feelings. As far as I am concerned, he's one of the most misunderstood human being. And he's gradually waking up to a human, which I'm very, very happy.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Wonderful recognition.
Of course, having kids, I think, probably changed him a lot.
Not really. But no. But
Now, I have seen him with Andrew and Amanda. He's great with the
yeah,
kids.
he's a great daddy. He's a great daddy. He has so much patience with his kids, but he has patience with people he respects. And he could be very charming, but he's not always like that. He's quite moody and
he definitely does not suffer fools gladly. If he thinks you're an idiot, you're going to know that he thinks you're an idiot.
Yeah, right. What you see is what you get, and
he's also very sort of peculiar. I mean, you told me a story about when you were moving from Boston to California, and you started cleaning out his apartment.
Oh, yeah.
And you found money and chips, some ridiculous amount of money that he didn't even know he had.
Oh, he is just so out of it. John.
We're talking about 150,000 or something like that?
More than that. Yeah. So,
more than that.
I mean, yeah, that's how it is. We started dating and secretly, and then it got the news got out because I was chatting on with him, and while at the same time talking to one of my other team members. Then John was typing. I'm typing back, but I'm on the phone. Then finally, John typed XOXO. I said, "What is?" I said, "Oh, I'm talking to John while I'm talking to you." Okay. And then I said, "What is XOXO?"
Oh,
you know.
Wrong question to ask somebody else.
I was like, I remember it was Manlio, right? And he goes, "Oh my God, you guys are gonna have phone sex now? I better get off the phone." I didn't, this is the trouble of dating some,
from a different country.
natives, let out your secret. But yeah, anyway.
So now, sort of on that subject, in addition to being a woman, you're a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
Most of the blackjack pit critters are men. Now, many of them are going to respond to you as a man to a beautiful woman rather than intellectually, is she representing a threat to the casino?
Right.
Now, does flirting with the pit guys part of what you do? Does it help you? Have you done it?
I typically don't flirt with the pit people because if I do, they tend to remember me.
Yeah, I was going to say
right?
they would.
So I do not want to cause extra tension if I can help it. But I do, leverage the fact that I'm a woman, and I kind of, play my game. And so John says, I'm filing away at the table, and then if they're watching. Okay, I remember this was in MGM too. I was betting something like $3,000 a hand, and the boss came over looking all serious and then nervous, and then staring me down. So instead of feeling nervous also, and I just thought I'll play my women card, and I asked the guy to come over. I say, "Hey, let me ask you something. Am I betting too much?" And then and then if I win too much money, is your job going to be in trouble, dear? And then the guy goes, "No, it's not my money." And then he thought it was embarrassing, and then he left. And then I thought, "Oh yeah, really, please don't look at this." When he left, I dug a big hole in the rack, and I didn't even bother to turn in a card, and that's how I wanted it. And sometimes I remember another time was that I was betting and the boss was staring me down, and I call him over and I say, "Hey, what do you think I should play this hand?" Okay. And
was it a tough one, like a 20 versus
No, it was like a 12 against 3 or something like that.
That's kind of a
and I
tough
call
hand,
him
sort of.
over. I'm thinking, instead of you sweating over there, why don't you come back, sit right next to me and sweat next to me, And so I said, hey, what do you think I should play this hand? I thought I will play the right hand, of course. I bet a lot of money. But if he says, you should hit, and I will say, okay, I do it. Okay. Now, if he say you should stay, if I'm not going to stay, and I say, well, I'm not going to do it, I should do the opposite, right? Do the George Costanza thing, do the opposite because you work for the casino. I do, however it is, I'm going to have basically
You're
the
gonna be
script
able to
for
make
it,
the right
right?
play. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but then he came by, and I did what he told me to do, which was the right play, and then I lost it. I said, oh, man, I thought you have got some pull here. Looks like you don't have any pull. You're dismissed. It's like the tombstone.
So you said he was dismissed. Did he leave?
He left with the face all turning red. He didn't want to come back. So anyway, I thought that was great. To be a woman, I can do whatever, if you play it right.
So one of the things that gets talked about a lot on the internet, or maybe the most about the MIT team, was you were talking about when the team tried to start doing advanced techniques and how they never made any money doing that, and it was the old straight counting, calling in a big player where you guys made all the money.
Right. It's simple and stupid. And then at the time they were doing ace tracking and shuffle tracking, and you guys know me. I am a practitioner. I didn't care about the theory, and I know these guys have it right, and you just tell me what to do. I don't care why should we do it this way. Just tell me what to do and how much money we can make, and that's what I care. And then they were all talking about expected value and CE, was it certainty equivalence, or did I say that right? Whatever that is. Anyway, it's all I know is not real money. Okay? And then so I remember that was, Simeon and all, they like to play this game, and every time after the game they always talk about how much CE they generated. And then I was only care how much money they generated. Okay? They tend to always generate a huge CE but no money and lost money. Okay, eventually the guy, I don't know how much CE he generated, because that was the basis for our pay, and he got paid $30,000, and yet he made $7,000. I thought, oh, the hell with CE, and I didn't know what CE was, and I just do the simple counting, and so I know with the count game we're the ones who carry the team. The guys with CE guys are the ones, the West Coast, because the MI team had the West Coast part, had the East Coast part.
Just
right?
like the rappers.
Yeah. Okay. The West Coast part, we don't have anybody who teach us these advanced games. We only know the stupid games. And then we win the money, and they get paid. The East Coasters. So the West Coasters, we hated the East Coasters. We call them the Least Coasters.
Sounds like you're not totally over it yet. One time I was having lunch with you and John, and I think what you told me is that when you go into a casino, the first thing you try to figure out is how much money can you take out of there without losing your welcome. And
right.
So is that approximately what you said, and how do you do this?
Well, I mean, before, when we were running the team, and it was very hard to really carry out that kind of policy, because we had to fly in, people flying from Boston, even if there's not proper action this weekend. We still got to play because we already paid the expense, so we got to play. And now that we live in town, and also I'm playing on my own bank, so I can make the call to say, oh, I want to play, what is it, $50 unit, $100 unit, $500 unit. I can make that call because I only have myself to answer to. So now, I haven't been playing for a while because I was so hot. But while I was playing hard, I always go to the casino, I walk around, around the whole pit, and then I will observe who's betting what, where, and how much. Let's say somebody's betting, 10,000. I say, wow, great. Tonight there's action. So I should not sit at that table, okay? And I will sit someplace like next to it or across from it. And because, that was also experience. If I sit at that table, he doesn't get into trouble. I do. Because that has all the camera turned on it. If he bets 10,000 a hand, just so I know, today if I bet on 5,000, it'd be okay. Because they're all watching the guy who's betting 10,000. Now today there are people who's betting 5,000. Now I'll drop it down to 2,000 or 3,000. So they should be all looking at the 5,000 guy, right? Now if I see people betting couple thousand, then I can't bet more than 1,000. I'll bet blacks. I won't put out a yellow chip. I'll put 10 blacks. So it's still, just checks play, not yellow action. It's the same play, right? Now if nobody is betting even 1,000, I go home because it's not worth it. I had a grand appearance. I'm not going to make much money. I'll go home. Yeah. So that's pretty much
You also find just through experience that, certain, this casino right now doesn't like action. Anybody who starts betting more than $500, they're just going to sweat blood, So, but some other casino currently, likes the action and won't sweat it, but that you can only know just from people constantly being out there and telling you like, oh, this place is okay right now, or boy, this place is really hot right now.
Yeah, well, those are pretty obvious, like small casinos, like one of my acquaintances who want to learn some blackjack basic skills from me is a cook. Okay, and at the China One, okay, and play some basic strategy. And a night before last, he calls me up and say, I graduated from elementary school. I said, what do you mean? He said, I just got kicked out by Suncoast. I said, what?
Playing basic strategy?
Yeah. I said, oh, man, how much were you betting? He said, $50. All right, so don't go to Suncoast. They kick you out for $50. And this guy is not a professional yet. Just barely knows basic strategy and counts, all over the place. And bets $50, you get kicked out. But $50, you can go to, a bigger casino. If you go to Red Rock, that's table minimum, probably a lot of tables, right? I mean, so yeah, depending on what kind of action that casino takes, and then you kind of have a, win goal. If you go to Bellagio, please don't win over 50,000. They're gonna look at you. If you win, 10, 20,000, you probably go unnoticed at the days I was playing. But I haven't been to Bellagio for a long time, so I don't know what's it now. Maybe economy goes down, that limit goes down. So every casino have a comfort zone. If you go to some casino, even take action. So you bet, you make a few $1,000s. I think it's good that you leave. If you keep winning, they're starting to come down to watch you. Yeah.
I think that's a really important, people get all wrapped up in this risk of ruin and how much they should bet. And to the professionals, it's really more about what can the casino take.
That's right.
Not what can my bankroll take.
Right.
What are they going to let me win? But now you have kids, and both you and John are players. So do you take turns babysitting, and somebody goes out to play, and somebody stays home with the kids? How does that work? I know John likes to stay home.
Oh, well, we haven't been playing a lot. When I used to play a lot, my parents were in the house and watched the kids, and we would go play. But John he's not working very hard, at all. But
he is playing right now, right? That's why he's not here tonight.
Yeah, it's such a rare case. He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have much of a, like a goal of a year how much he should make, or he feels like when he feels like he goes to play, that kind of thing. We have a live-in nanny, so to take care of our kids. And so I asked John, and I said, hey, I think you should at least make double the nanny's pay for the year, so that we don't like deplete our net worth, so to speak. And so he goes, why don't you have me earn 10 times of the nanny pay? And I said, well, I didn't want to give you pressure, but if you make just as much as the nanny, then you are the nanny, right? And he didn't make the nanny pay.
Oh dear.
That's the problem. You're too rich.
But he probably had a lot of CE.
No, he didn't even have CE. He doesn't feel the drive. Maybe every year when we moved to Vegas, every year I'll make more money than he does. It's not because I'm smarter than him. It's just I have a drive. He doesn't. He just thought it was a stupid game. I don't care if it's stupid. They let me play. I'll play. And but I haven't been playing because I find a even stupider game and makes even more money in the future. So I kind of turn against blackjack for the last few years. Yeah.
Well, plus getting arrested, I think, tends to wear on you.
Yeah, he didn't care. I mean, I was the one that's being with a prostitute and then drug dealer, and then I mean, it's very weird experience. They say, hey, what are you in here for? Where? Well, the question is, where were you whoring? And I'm like, I don't whore. So why are you here? I said, oh, I count cards. Hey, this bitch counts cards.
Well, bitch, it was a pleasure to have you on tonight. Never said that before. This is good. We need to do some commercials. Was there anything you wanted to tell us before you go? Otherwise, we're going to bid you adieu and thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you tonight.
You're welcome. It's fun. And not much, it's just this is a game you can make some money, but to get stinky rich with it, it's not really an easy thing. And it's not the sky is the limit. No, it's the casino surveillance is the limit. Okay. So maybe you can travel overseas like the BJ Traveler. By the way, it's not Tibet. It's Nepal.
Nepal. I did correct that.
Yeah,
I did
it's
say
Nepal.
Yeah.
And but sometimes simple pleasures of life is it matters more than just money. That BJ Traveler, I think that guy is all money,
Well, he must have a love of travel as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he loves travel, but money is more important. So that's
Doesn't mind living on the edge. Thank you very much, Laurie.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, Richard, what did we learn tonight?
Boy, I don't know. Why don't you go first? I'd have to think about that.
I don't know. I'm wondering if both Laurie and Johnny were both in the room, if she would have said the same things about him that she said when he wasn't in the room.
Oh, she would. She would.
Good. So let's talk about our sponsors. The South Point has more than 10,000 video poker games, returning more than 99%. This is more than anybody else. Every day from Sundays through Thursdays, you can earn free swipe when you play 200 points. The high-end prizes are $50 in free play or $50 Chevron gas card. The low-end prizes are a T-shirt or coffee mug and free lunch buffet. One prize I've gotten 3 times so far is double points, which can be worth, for me, thousands of dollars in CE. Don't tell Laurie. Although I've had results what Laurie would talk about CE so I've played them and haven't won this month on that, but it's still a good deal. And if I get another double point coupon next Tuesday, I'm gonna fire away again. This coming Wednesday's free video poker class is NSU Deuces Wild. This is a 99.73% game, and since the slot club is 0.30, you have a small edge 24/7, and on double point days you have a 0.3 advantage, plus the monthly mailers and other promotions. In another week, we'll have an NSU advanced class. Now, this covers all the penalty card situations. Now, you must have attended this week's class, the beginning NSU, or have a strong working knowledge of the game in order to have a chance of understanding the advanced class. So, I mean, anybody can come to the advanced class, but and so we're not going to check off how much you know before you're allowed to be there. But if you want a chance to understand it, you better have, it's not going to be simple. The classes are held on Wednesdays at noon in the showroom. Anybody 21 years of old or older is welcome. The Palms, in January, they've started a Sterling Advantage, which means you're 50 years or older. They have a swipe every Thursday where they're giving gifts away, including point multipliers or certain amounts of free play or discount on food. You also get a discount movie ticket if you want one. The Play, Earn, and Win promotion, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays there for the rest of this month, is themed Booze Cruise, and you can earn various adult beverages and drinking accessories. You keep the points. In general, these Play, Earn, and Win promotions are in lieu of point multipliers, and they tend to be worth about 0.5 if you take retail value of the gifts. Their buffet has recently gone through a major upgrade. It is quite a bit better than it used to be. Videopoker.com is one of our sponsors, and the end of every month they have a contest, and this month it features the game Ultimate 4-of-a-Kind Bonus. Now, you haven't seen that in casinos because it isn't going to be out until next month, but this allows you to play it before you can play it, I guess. The way an Ultimate 4-of-a-Kind Bonus works is every 4-of-a-kind you get, there's a bonus round, and you either get 1, 2, or 3 picks. The average bonus is 307 units, and so it can be 614 or 921 depending on whether you get 4 5s or 4 deuces or 4 aces. You pay 6 coins per line rather than 5 in order to make it make the math all work out. Do not use regular strategy on this. You have to add these numbers to the 4-of-a-kinds to determine the correct strategy. So like if the 4-of-a-kind is usually 250, you'd add 307 to that and make it 557. Or if the aces were usually 800, you'd add 921 to that and make it, whatever it is. So you need to adjust the strategy. And so if you're playing this monthly contest, the game to play is Triple Double Bonus. Triple Double Bonus is a game where for 4 aces and a kicker, meaning a 2, 3, or 4, you get 4,000 coins. Now, the way the contest works is you play 200 hands, and whatever your score is counts. In the top so many get some prizes. So the winners are going to be dealt royals or dealt 4-of-a-kind with a kicker. So you want to be playing the games where you have more of these chances. If you were playing double bonus, then 4 aces with or without a kicker is only 800 rather than 4,000. So playing triple double bonus is the way you want to play in the contest. In real life, triple double bonus has a very high variance, and it's much too wild of a game for a lot of people. But in this contest, which is betting free money, you go for it, and you can play as many times as you want. All right. Those are our sponsors. Now, on VP Free, which is the Video Poker Bulletin Board, people post games or post information about a good promotion somewhere. And some people are in favor of everything they find out they post. Our administrator calls it the sunshine policy. He wants no secrets. And other players, if we find a really good deal...
Yeah, those players who post all that, those are not the professionals.
Yeah. So I So if you find something really good, like I have this bar that I know about. So on a quarter game was like an $80 an hour opportunity in CE, Laurie. And so it's like a 15 machines in there, of which like 3 of them were good to play on this promotion. If I put this out on VP free, it's like it's going to be killed immediately. It's just no room for this.
No, yeah. Now, if you find something that is particularly juicy, you should not post it on one of these boards. You should email me at rwmunchkin@gmail.com. Unless it's video poker, in which case it's Bob Dancer.
If it's good enough, there'll be generous finder's fee.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll pay finder's fee on both table games and video poker, even though I get to play the video poker.
Okay.
Is that right?
Sure. Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Take that one to the bank.
And a lot of people get really upset when they already knew about something and somebody posts about it. But those are the same people that when they didn't know about something jump on a plane when they read about it and go make tens of thousands of dollars off it. So, I just figure eventually everything's going to come out. And, it doesn't upset me anymore just because I expect it to happen,
I've had students take my classes like for 2 semesters, and so they basically mastered what I have to teach. And then 3 years later, they come up to me and are really angry that I'm still teaching classes. They wanted the knowledge to end when they learned it.
Yeah.
And teaching other people now, they figure dilutes their knowledge, and they're very irritated by that.
Can I actually, do we have time for me to tell you the worst story about posting on the internet that I know?
We got about 2 minutes, I think.
Okay. So a number of professional players were going to Australia, and they were getting a particular rebate, and there was a rebate, and there was also some sort of cash back on the amount of action that they played.
Okay.
And they made the mistake of asking Stanford Wong about the optimal way to play it. And
Stanford posted this.
Stanford posted it on his website and said, gee, here's an interesting question. This group of professionals is going to Australia to play this.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, of course,
how
they were
many
all
people
barred.
showed up?
8. No. I mean, it wasn't that the game got burned out. The 8 professionals that were going, the casinos were waiting for them to arrive, and they were all barred immediately.
Because
they
had read Wong's.
They had, yes. Yeah. So so that was a bad one.
What happens when you're playing at a table and somebody, like you're playing $500 a hand, and somebody who's betting $5 points out a dealer mistake, and so instead of you winning the $500, you're losing the $500, and because
What do you do in that situation, Laurie? Well, there's not much to do. Once being told, it's told. Typically,
I make it very clear to the player that I'm very unhappy that they just cost me $500, and I suggest that they go to another table.
Then you still lost the
you still, but hopefully you've gotten the civilian off the game, which is always a good thing. I mean, you want to get civilians off the table as much as possible anyway. They just slow things down and cost you money.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, do you, if you see a video poker machine that is paying improperly, do you play it?
Well, it might be against the law. We have like 30 seconds, so this isn't something I can go into under your regime. But I will actually bring it up next week when Michael Shackelford is the co-host. There have been cases where the machine at the MGM was paying off way too much, and what happened and what I did about it and all that. And we'll talk about that next week. And so I recommend you listen to the download on bobdancer.com, and you can hear all about it. In the meantime, go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good night. Thank you, Laurie.